Publius Virgilius Marin, often nicknamed Virgil, was an ancient Roman poet. His poems have always been read and considered most praiseworthy, linking the founding of Roman culture to the Trojan War, describing one of the most tragic romances ever written, explaining the fundamental source of Roman conflict with Carthage. In this video, you may learn details about one of the books in Virgil's eternal renown epic, the Aeneid. Book 18. The Trojans gather allies. At the beginning of this book, there is a loose mention of how the Italians sent word to Diomedes asking him to join their efforts. You must remember that this is one of the key heroes from the Iliad. However, he is not mentioned again. Instead, the topic changes to the Trojans. Aeneas dreams that the river Tiber, as if it were a divinity, counsels him to seek alliance with a certain local city. The city that is referenced was founded by some Arcadians, the Trojans' Greek enemies. Yet, the deity is certain they will become their new allies. When Aeneas wakes up, he sees a sign, a cow with 30 babies in her brood, that confirms the veracity of his dream. The deity had told him that he would see such a thing, LOL. They travel by sea to the city in question and are greeted in a friendly manner. Aeneas tells their leader,
"Your birth is Grecian, and your land my foe. From Atreus though your ancient lineage came, our founder Dardanus, as fame has sung, and Greeks acknowledge, from Electra sprung. Thus, from one common source our streams divide. Ours is the Trojan, yours the Arcadian side."
Their leader, a man named Evander, tells the Trojan that as a child he met Priam, the king of Troy. The elder man had been good to him, had given him a gift. Therefore, Evander invites him to a friendly dinner, and during the conversation Evander explains a local myth. He has it that Hercules once visited that land. Herein he defeated a monster known as Cacus.
Vulcan this plague begot, and, like his sire, he could black flakes of livid fire.
This beast stole some oxen from a local lord. Luckily, Hercules heard the captured animals cry out and discovered the beast's hidden cavern. The hero frees the oxen, kills the monster, and exhibits the corpse for the local villagers to admire.
The wondering neighborhood, with glad surprise, beheld his shagged breast, his giant size, his mouth that flames no more, and his extinguished eyes. From that auspicious day, with rites divine, we worship at the hero's holy shrine.
The cave where the combat took place is the same wherein, according to myth, the female wolf later nurtured Romulus and Remus. So, this cave, which I believe it is now lost, is doubly important. It is the location of a Herculean feat and the home of the twins that founded Rome. The poet then describes a religious ceremony held in honor of Hercules. He quotes the song that is sung during the ceremony. It describes many of the great deeds of the hero. Following, Evander describes the origin of life in Italy. He says that the peninsula was populated from the beginning. Humans did not migrate into it, humans emerged in it from natural processes. Surely this understanding is an influence of Lucretius. The Epicurean poet had it that humans sprung from mutated or aberrant plant seeds. Paradoxically, after the appearance of man, Saturn, Cronus, arrived and brought civilization and culture to the Italian people. The tale ends with the arrival of the original Arcadians that settle the present city. Subsequently, there is mention of other special, mythical locations. These are places such as the Tarpeian Rock, that we know got its name from later, historical events. When the ceremony ends and night falls, Virgil changes the scene to Olympus. Venus is speaking to her husband, Vulcan. She is quoted as saying,
"While cruel fate conspired with Grecian powers to level with the ground the Trojan towers, did not request aid in finding my son a home, nor did the succor of thy skill implore, nor urged the labors of my lord in vain. A sinking empire you need not sustain, but now, by Jove's command and fate's decree, my son's prodigy is destined to reign Italy. With humble suit I beg for you skillful art, your propitious power that rules my heart.
Of course, as she often did, the goddess is manipulating her husband. She offers sexual pleasure, and the god of smithing cannot resist. The poet describes how they embrace and make love. Afterwards, Vulcan does as his wife asked and travels to a sacred island where all his workmen are found working. These are, for the most part, Cyclopes skilled in foundry. It is jovial to read how they work. Let me quote the master craftsman as he tells them.
Create arms for a hero, forge weapons that require your strength, your speed, and all your shaping fire.
The whole reads like a movie montage as the Cyclopes even sing as they hammer. LOL. Throughout the book, at every sunrise and every sunset, the poet vividly describes the scene. It is always a new description and always most poetic. Either way, on a new day, when Aeneas and Evander meet, the latter tells the former about a nearby town that will also join their efforts. Herein is found a defense of liberty and democracy. Yes, Evander explains.
What words can paint those execrable times? The subject's sufferings and the tyrant's crimes. That blood, those murderers, O ye gods, replace. On his own head and on his impious race. The people's patience, tired, no longer bore. The despot devil, but with courage revolt.
Yes, these people were afflicted with a tyrant. They overthrew, but failed to kill, the man. The despot had fled to Turnus' court, and he still lives awaiting the opportunity to regain his throne. As such, this town, now free, are natural enemies of the Trojans' new foes. Evander explains that thus far an oracle has withheld them from further war. It was prophesied that the free people had to wait for a foreign leader to lead them against their former ruler. Of course, Aeneas is this foreign leader. He stands ready to accept these people and incorporate them into his party. The former tyrant is named Mezentius. Also, is it not reminiscent of what happened to the Romans with Tarquin? Evander and Aeneas are interrupted by a divine sign. A thunder flicks across the sky and the Trojan understands.
Heaven calls me to the war. The expected sign is given of promised aid and arms divine. This omen gave when bright Vulcanian arms faded from force of steel by Stygian charms.
As such, they all prepare for the incoming battle. Evander cannot go as he is too old. He sends his son and begs divinity to either let him live to see his son return triumphantly, or to die not knowing that his son has fallen. Furthermore, there is reference to the women that stay behind. Crying with worry, they wave the troops goodbye. Along the way, Aphrodite presents herself to Aeneas and gives him the arms that Hephaestus crafted. He is impressed by their construction and ornamentation, especially the shield. It has very distinct decorations. On it are depicted famous scenes from the future history of Rome. First, there is a wolf tending twins, Romulus and Remus. Then, a depiction of the early city and the so-called rape of the Sabine women. Continuing, Porsenna, the Etruscan king that attempted to restore Tarquin's tyranny. This includes the deeds of Cloelia, who led a group of women to safety when battling against the aforementioned king. Curiously, the historical mentions jump from when the Gauls sacked the city to the Catalan conspiracy. Therefore, just about all of the history of the Republic is skipped. This passage ends with the great naval battle at Actium between Augustus and Mark Antony. Jocularly, focus is paid to Cleopatra's flight, which causes Antony to also flee. The poet surely seeks favor when he praises Augustus' triumph.
3 shining nights and 3 succeeding days. The fields resound with shouts, the streets with praise, the domes with songs, the theaters with plays. Great Caesar sits sublime upon his throne, before Apollo's porch of Parian stone. Vast crowds of vanquished nations march along, various in arms, in habit, and in tongue.
All this future history was, somehow, represented on that one single shield that Vulcan crafted. Of course, it is admitted, Aeneas does not understand the images, but understands that they are important. LOL. In the next book, the war begins. The future Romans find themselves in a very similar condition to the old Trojans. As usual, I now gift you an aphorism I came up with as I read this poem.
The slope that leads to heaven is so slippery that for most it is best not to try climbing for fear of slipping further.
If you enjoy or gain from my aphorisms, know that I have thousands. I will be writing books with short thematic essays composed out of aphorisms. These essays are profound and intriguing yet easy to read. For very cheap copies, look up Protagoras Pause in the Amazon website. I repeat, Protagoras Pause, that's my name.